The BUNYIP is one of the most enduring and mysterious figures in Australian folklore. Described as a creature that haunts swamps, billabongs, riverbanks, and waterholes, the BUNYIP has been part of the oral traditions of Aboriginal Australians for countless generations. Unlike many mythological beings, the BUNYIP does not stem from a single form or story. Instead, it exists as a shape-shifting, multi-regional legend that takes on various appearances and temperaments depending on the environment, tribe, and historical context. This realistic history explores the BUNYIP, not as a monster, but as a cultural artifact, a possible reflection of extinct fauna, and a lens through which both Indigenous and colonial Australians made sense of the dangerous and unknown spaces of the continent's vast inland waters. Aboriginal origins, pre-colonial understandings, Teiu. The word BUNYIP. The term BUNYIP comes from the Wemba Wemba or Wergaya language of southeastern Australia and roughly translates to devil or spirit. However, nearly every Aboriginal language group has its own name and interpretation of similar water-dwelling creatures. Names include Kianprati, Lake Hindmarsh region, Tarragara, New South Wales, Wawi, Murray River Basin, Mulgawank, South Australia. These creatures were not always evil. In some traditions, the BUNYIP was a guardian of waterways, punishing only those who disrespected sacred places, overfished, or polluted the environment. In others, the BUNYIP was a predatory spirit that dragged trespassers into the water, particularly children or those traveling alone. B. Cultural and spiritual role. Aboriginal people often warned children not to go near waterholes alone by invoking the BUNYIP as a deterrent. Some viewed it as a spirit of the ancestors connected to dreamtime stories. Stories often reflected real dangers: crocodiles in the north, quicksand, sudden floods, or drowning. In several traditions, BUNYIPs were linked to tribal boundaries and punishment for crossing into forbidden lands. The stories were fluid and localized, evolving with geography and climate, and many Aboriginal elders today emphasize that the BUNYIP is not just a monster, but a spiritual protector and enforcer of environmental law. Early colonial encounters, 1800s, A. First European reports. When British settlers arrived in the early 19th century, they began hearing stories of the BUNYIP from Indigenous Australians and soon claimed sightings of their own. Between the 1830s and 1870s, newspapers and explorers recorded numerous alleged encounters, often describing the BUNYIP as amphibious large, dark-bodied, having a dog-like face, flippers, and a bellowing cry. Sometimes feathered or furred, depending on the region, colonists were baffled and sometimes frightened. In 1845, the Geelong Advertiser published multiple articles about a strange animal said to haunt swamps near the Barwon River. B. The 1847 BUNYIP skull. A pivotal moment came when a strange skull was discovered near the Murrumbidgee River in New South Wales. It was displayed in the Australian Museum in Sydney, and some claimed it was proof of the BUNYIP's existence. Aboriginal visitors confirmed it resembled known BUNYIP depictions. Experts later concluded it belonged to a deformed foal or calf, though debate lingered for years. This event led to a brief BUNYIP craze in Australian media, with hoaxes, fabricated sightings, and traveling exhibits. Zoological theories. What might the BUNYIP be? A. Mice-identified animals. Many realistic explanations suggest the BUNYIP is a result of mistaken identity. Candidates include southern elephant seals, rare but occasionally washed inland, large freshwater seals, now extinct in Australia, cassowaries or emus seen near water at night, giant eels or lungfish, abnormally large wombats or platypuses, Aboriginal drawings sometimes depict beaked, egg-laying creatures, which some researchers link to the platypus, described by early Europeans as a BUNYIP-like oddity. B. Extinct megafauna theory. Some cryptozoologists and paleontologists believe BUNYIP legends may be cultural memory of extinct megafauna that Aboriginal Australians once lived alongside. Candidates include Diprotodon, the world's largest known marsupial, similar to a giant wombat or hippo; Palorchestes, a large, clawed, herbivorous browser; Zygomaturus, swamp-dwelling, hippo-like marsupial; Thylacoleo carnifex, the marsupial lion, possibly predator-like in behavior. Aboriginal oral traditions are known to preserve accurate memory of extinct animals over thousands of years. Some depictions of the BUNYIP closely match reconstructions of these long-extinct species. The BUNYIP, in modern Australian culture, decline in sightings. By the 20th century, reported sightings declined significantly. As land was cleared, swamps drained, and Aboriginal displacement continued, both the ecosystems and the oral cultures that birthed the BUNYIP were dramatically disrupted. Yet the BUNYIP evolved, becoming a fixture of Australian children's literature, local mascots, museums, and public art. Key examples: The BUNYIP of Berkeley's Creek, 1973, a popular children's book; Murray Bridge BUNYIP, a mechanical tourist attraction in South Australia, featured in TV shows, comics, postage stamps, and cryptid guides. For Aboriginal Australians, the BUNYIP remains a deeply spiritual symbol, often misunderstood or cartoonized by non-Indigenous portrayals. Many elders have emphasized the importance of respecting BUNYIP lore as sacred, rather than sensational. Interpretive frameworks. Understanding the BUNYIP today. Psychological symbolism. The BUNYIP, like water spirits around the world, e.g. the Kelpie in Scotland, Ninkinanka in West Africa, represents the unknown in nature, a way of giving shape to fear, danger, or reverence for sacred places. Ecological metaphor. Seen this way, the BUNYIP is not just a creature, but a moral figure, protecting the waters, punishing the disrespectful, and warning against exploitation of fragile ecosystems. Cultural survival. In contemporary Indigenous communities, BUNYIP stories are being revitalized through language programs, dreamtime storytelling, and reclamation of traditional wetlands.